Losing a loved one is undeniably difficult. As families grieve and support one another, the heavy reality of legal obligations often begins to set in.
You may find yourself facing a daunting stack of paperwork and navigating final wishes. This leads many to ask one crucial question: when is probate actually required?
Today, we will break down the probate process. Please note, this video is for informational purposes only. Always consult a qualified attorney for advice specific to your situation. What exactly happens to a person's assets after they pass away? Enter probate. Probate is the formal legal process that administers a deceased person's estate, ensuring their financial affairs are properly settled. The process begins with will validation. The court reviews the last will and testament to confirm it is legally valid and officially appoints an executor. Next comes the asset inventory. The executor identifies and calculates the value of everything the person owned, from real estate and bank accounts to vehicles and personal items. Before beneficiaries receive anything, the estate must settle its obligations. During the debt payment phase, the executor uses the estate's funds to pay off outstanding debts, final bills, and taxes. Finally, we reach asset distribution. The remaining property and funds are legally transferred to the rightful heirs. Ultimately, probate provides a structured legal framework to wrap up a person's life fairly. The general rule of thumb is that probate is required when someone passes away owning assets entirely in their own name, with no legally recognized way to pass them on automatically. Contrast this with jointly owned assets. If a house, bank account, or vehicle is owned jointly with the right of survivorship, ownership automatically transfers to the surviving owner without the need for probate court. Similarly, assets with direct beneficiary designations bypass the probate process entirely. Things like life insurance policies, retirement accounts, and payable on death bank accounts transfer directly to the named beneficiary. Finally, probate is usually triggered when the total value of the sole-owned assets exceeds your state's small estate threshold. If the estate is small enough, families can often use a simplified affidavit process instead of formal probate. What actually triggers probate? The biggest factor is the total value of the deceased person's estate. Many states have a small estate exemption. If the value falls below a certain threshold, you can skip formal probate and use a simpler affidavit. However, these limits vary wildly. For instance, California's limit is over $180,000, while Florida's is $75,000. In some states, it's much lower. Always check your local laws to see if the estate qualifies for this shortcut. The second major factor is the type of assets involved. Probate typically applies to assets owned solely in the deceased person's name without a designated beneficiary. This often includes real estate with only one name on the deed, individual bank passbooks, vehicles, stock certificates, and valuable items like jewelry. If these items lack a direct legal path to a new owner, the court must step in to authorize the transfer. Third, consider how the assets are titled. The way ownership is recorded can completely bypass probate. If a house is owned in joint tenancy with right of survivorship, it automatically passes to the surviving owner. Conversely, under tenancy in common, the deceased's share must go through probate. The same applies to bank accounts. A simple payable on death or POD designation sends funds straight to the named beneficiary, bypassing court entirely. Finally, the existence of a will. A common myth is that having a will avoids probate. In reality, a will is just a set of instructions for the probate court. The judge must still validate it and appoint the executor. If someone dies without a will, known as dying intestate, probate is usually required to distribute assets according to state law. This often leaves families confused and stuck navigating a rigid legal framework. Navigating the probate process can feel overwhelming, but breaking it down step by step makes it clearer. It begins when someone files a petition and the original will, if one exists, at the local probate court. From there, official notices are mailed out to all named heirs, beneficiaries, and known creditors to keep everyone informed. Next, a judge officially appoints an executor or administrator to manage the estate. Once appointed, their first major duty is to identify and protect the deceased person's assets. This often involves bringing in professional appraisers to evaluate real estate and compiling a meticulous, detailed inventory list of everything the estate owns. Before any assets can be distributed to heirs, the estate must settle its obligations. The executor uses estate funds to pay off legitimate debts and final taxes. Only after these financial responsibilities are cleared can the remaining assets be legally transferred. Finally, the heirs receive their inheritances, and the court officially closes the case.
Navigating probate requires a significant investment of both time and money. For timelines, patience is essential. A typical probate case can take anywhere from 6 months to a full year to resolve. However, for complex estates or cases involving family disputes, the process can drag on much longer.
Aside from the time commitment, the financial burden of probate can be substantial. Costs typically range from a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the estate's size and complexity. These expenses break down into several key categories. A large portion goes to attorney fees for legal guidance. Next are court filing fees to open the estate. You must also account for executor fees, appraisal fees to determine property values, and bonding fees.
Probate is not a one-size-fits-all process. The rules governing it are determined entirely at the state level, meaning what applies in California might be completely different from the laws in Texas or New York.
For instance, many states have small estate thresholds that let you skip formal probate if the estate's value falls below a certain amount. Others offer streamlined processes like independent administration, which requires far less court supervision. Because these procedures vary so drastically, your first step should be researching your specific state's probate laws. Even better, consult with a qualified local estate attorney who can guide you through the complexities of your jurisdiction. While probate is common, several smart strategies can help your estate avoid it. One powerful tool is a living trust. By transferring ownership of your house, car, and bank accounts into a trust, those assets bypass probate and transfer smoothly to your heirs. Another simple method is holding property or bank accounts jointly with right of survivorship, which automatically transfers ownership to the survivor. Similarly, life insurance policies with clearly filled-in beneficiary designations will pay out directly to your loved ones outside of probate. You can also set up payable on death designations for bank accounts and transfer on death deeds for real estate. Finally, gifting assets during your lifetime is an option, though you should always consult an advisor about current gift tax rules. Navigating the probate process can feel overwhelming, making professional support absolutely essential. Consulting an experienced probate attorney can save you time, reduce your stress, and prevent costly legal mistakes. To find help, resources like funeralus.com can easily guide you to local probate courts and directories. Your state bar association website is also an excellent starting point for finding qualified attorneys or local legal aid societies. Remember, having professional guidance makes all the difference during a difficult time. Thank you for watching. We hope this guide on understanding and planning for probate was helpful. For more resources, please like, subscribe, and visit funeralist.com.